Right after Course 2, you can see on this poll here that the majority of people found to be the hardest is Course 3. Over a quarter of the people considered it to be the hardest exam. I've mentioned it before, I actually got my worst mark on Course 3, but I didn't find it that difficult. I was interested in the material to a certain extent, and after the beast that is C2, I was very happy to see that it was a manageable 9 modules. In this video, I'm going to break down a couple of the harder topics in Course 3 that maybe a few of you aren't grasping or even getting to. There is also a couple things in the description below for you. First is a list of topics you will see throughout the entire course. I know a lot of people struggle with finding what they should study, so I wanted to add a good short list of what you will see most. Of course, if you're like me, make sure you read all of the material still, but I wanted to put that down there because it could be helpful to some. I've also completed my Exam Master mini course for Course 3. It's my exact strategies and fundamentals I use to pass all the exams first try, as well as I go through 30+ questions of the 4 types of questions you're going to see on the exams. High percentage, not questions, tricky worded questions, and we touch on a couple math questions as well. So look for that in the description as well, and of course that link right there is a value link for the YouTube family, but let's just dive right into the video. 2 topics that I found tough to wrap my head around and retain the knowledge. First is common elements condominiums. The best way to understand this type is first to define the standard condominium. You probably have it down pat by this point, and it's the easiest to grasp because we do see it the most, but the standard condominium consists of 3 parts: the unit, the common elements, and the condominium corporation. If you just keep it simple, the unit is everything within the unit boundary: walls, floor, ceiling. The common elements would be the grounds, walkways, hallways, recreational facilities, etc. And the condominium corporation is responsible for maintaining, repairing, and replacing the common elements. Just keep it simple in your mind to define that standard condominium. But the common elements condominium, however, has no units and consists of interest held by the owners in specified common elements. So the common elements could be something like a golf course and everything that consists of the golf course, like the clubhouse, the carts, etc. It could be a ski hill, and same thing, the chalet, the chairlifts. It could even be a community center or a shared road. Let's say for this example, it's going to be a golf course. All owners in the community share ownership, enjoyment, and jointly fund the maintenance, repair, and any modifications made to this common element, in our case, the golf course. The members of a common elements corporation that enjoy their golf course must own a freehold parcel of land that is not part of the condominium property, but is located within the same land registry office area as the corporation is registered. The owner's part interest in the corporation attaches to the parcel of land, usually a home located nearby, and the land on which the house sits is referred to as a parcel of tied land, POTL, which you will see throughout the material and on the exams as well. The common interest in the corporation and the common element, the golf course in this case, remains attached to the parcel of tied land even if the home itself is sold. And this would be indicated in the agreement of purchase and sale when selling. So I know that was a tough one for me to wrap my head around as I was going through the material, so I hope that visual description did help a bit. And of course, go back through that again until it sticks. The second topic I want to discuss on Course 3 is tenancy termination. I know a lot of people watching this that I talk to have investment properties that are getting their license, or they're getting their license and they want to either work with investment clients or start building their investment portfolio. So this is information that you'll need to know for the Course 3 exam, but some of you as well might run into this in the real world. We'll focus this on when a landlord wants to terminate tenancy and what's involved in that. This can happen for a variety of reasons, of course, but there can be problems because the Residential Tenancies Act does give the tenant more rights regarding termination. If a landlord gives notice to end tenancy, a tenant does not have to move out. A landlord must apply to the Landlord and Tenant Board to get an order to evict a tenant. The tenant also has the right to attend a hearing and explain why their tenancy should not end. Of course, in the real world, with a well-treated tenant, there may be no issues at all, but these logistics do come up on the exams. So the tenant doesn't need to come up with a reason to leave. Once living on a month-to-month tenancy, they only have to give the landlord 60 days notice. The landlord has to have actual reasons to terminate tenancy. They can't do the same, just give the tenant 60 days notice. If the landlord is selling the unit or property is one of them, and they will need to give the tenant that 60 days notice once living on a month-to-month tenancy. However, the new buyers of the unit might actually want a tenant in there, so this may actually not be a cause of tenancy termination. The other one is in good faith, and the Residential Tenancy Act permits the landlord to give notice of termination to a tenant if the landlord requires the unit for themselves for a period of at least 1 year, a specified family member, or caregiver to someone living in the property or unit. Note that this is only allowed if the building or property is 3 units or less. 60 days notice once month to month is required, but in this case the tenant is actually entitled to 1 month's rent in compensation. A lot of tenants might not be aware of this potential compensation, so it's good information to know if some of your clients are leasing property. If it's a sell, however, and the new buyers are taking possession of the unit, the tenant is not entitled to that month's compensation. With a Residential Tenancies Act that does favor the tenant, as you can imagine, when signing 1-year leases, the landlord's top priority is going to be having good tenants. If you ask the landlord if they would take 5 good tenants over 5 properties or an additional $500 per month, they'd probably lean towards having good tenants, especially in our market. I know a lot of new agents start with leases once licensed, so again, great information to know, of course, for the exams, but also for the real world. I really hope that video helped, and if you have any questions at all, DM, email, comment on this video. I get back to everyone. I'll put my first video as well on course 3 right here that does touch on the tricky worded questions you're going to see. So definitely a great video there. But my name is Callum, eXp Realty, real estate agent here in Ontario, and we'll see you in the next one.